الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره الكافرون. All praise be to Allah. We praise Him, ask for His assistance, guidance, and forgiveness. I seek refuge in Allah from the evils of ourselves. I seek refuge in Allah from our bad deeds. Whomsoever Allah guides, no one can lead astray, and whomsoever Allah allows to be misguided, no one can lead aright. I bear witness that there is no Lord worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His servant and messenger, whom Allah has sent to mankind and to jinn, as a bearer of glad tidings to those who believe, and as a warner to those who disbelieve. Dear brothers and sisters, in today's khutbah, I will continue a series of Friday khutbahs discussing science and the Qur'an. We have seen in previous khutbahs how the Qur'an promotes science and scientific research by drawing our attention to the universe, to the skies, to the earth, to what is on the earth and what is hidden inside the earth, displaying the hidden mysteries and inciting us to inquire into them. As is the case with the sky, so it is with the depths of the earth and the depths of the oceans. Endless mysteries are waiting to be unraveled. Before I get into today's topic, I would like to make an introduction comparing the method of the Qur'an and the method of science in addressing scientific matters. The Qur'an is a message from the Creator of the universe and describes the universe in the word of its Creator, in a style different from that of a book on science. Unlike the scientific approach, which tries to find answers to observations made and seeks material evidence to prove theories, the Qur'an makes final, straightforward statements. The Creator of both the universe and the rules governing it had already communicated some of the findings of science in the Qur'an. The fact that none of the Qur'an statements referring to various scientific issues contained errors shows that the Qur'an is the book of the Creator of the universe. I will talk today, inshallah, about the winds and the rain and the cycle of water and life on earth. We'll start with the winds. يقول سبحانه وتعالى: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأرسلنا الرياح لواقح فأنزلنا من السماء ماء فأسقيناكموه وما أنتم له بخازنين. Allah in this verse talks about the fecundating winds. And we send the fecundating winds, then cause the rain to descend from the sky, therewith providing you with water in abundance. I did not know about this word, the fecundating winds. But when I looked it up in the dictionary, it means to make fertile or make productive. We now know from the research conducted on plants that the winds have this fecundating property. It transports pollen and hence makes the plants fertile, so it plays a major role in the reproduction of the plants. But the fecundating winds in this verse referred to something else. It referred to the fecundating winds that will eventually lead to the descent of rain from the skies. So the wind also has this property of fecundating the rain clouds, which is another essential factor for life on earth. Science tells us now that before rising to the upper layers of the atmosphere, the liquid aerosol generated by foaming in seas and other waters condenses around the dust particles that the winds sweep from the lands. Had it not been for these particles, 100% water vapor could not form clouds. The formation of clouds is the consequence of the wind's formation of the water vapor in suspension with the fecundating particles they carry. Had the winds failed to perform this duty, there would not have been any rain clouds. As there would be no rain, life could not thrive upon earth. However, winds have other functions as well. Clouds charged with positive and negative electricity, weighing tons, are swept by winds. Subhanallah. Without winds, even if the clouds form, the water would not fall down upon the seas. The water would then fall down upon the seas and waters over which they condensed. We know the vapor rises from the oceans. If the cloud forms, and if it does rain, it will rain on the oceans and seas. Hence, human beings, plants, and animals would be deprived of its benefits. So clouds are formed thanks to winds, and it is thanks to winds that rain falls over the land. Life can only thrive upon the earth thanks to rain. We're witnessing again the perfect design of our Creator. يقول سبحانه: واختلاف الليل والنهار وما أنزل الله من السماء من رزق فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وتصريف الرياح آيات لقوم يعقلون. In this other verse, Allah talks about the winds, amongst other of His great signs. And in the alternation of night and day, and the fact that Allah sends down sustenance from the sky, and revives therewith the earth after its death, and the manipulation of the winds are signs for those who understand. Beautiful verse. وَتَصْرِيفُ الرِّيَاحِ, the manipulation of winds, the change of winds are signs for those who understand. Allah asks us to pay attention to these things we take them lightly. We take things like wind for granted. But with wind comes great bounties to man and life on this planet. In this verse, the Quran stresses the essential role of wind in our lives. As it is now known, the difference of temperature between the equator and both north and south poles, the topography of the world, and the different pressure systems play a major role in the formation of wind. This delicate balance and wonderful system again speaks for the perfect design behind them and is another evidence of the oneness of the Creator. We're going to talk about the clouds and the process of rain. يقول سبحانه أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ألم تر أن الله يزجي سحابا ثم يؤلف بينه ثم يجعله ركاما فترى الودق يخرج من خلاله وينزل من السماء من جبال منها من برد فيها من برد فيصيب به من يشاء ويصرفه عمن يشاء يكاد سنا برقه يذهب بالأبصار. A very beautiful verse. A very beautiful verse. Do not you see the God drives the clouds, then joins them together, then piles them on each other. Then you see the rain comes forth from between them. And he sends down hail from the sky, where there are mountains of it, and strikes those with it whom he will, and diverts it from whomever he wills. The vivid flash of its lightning nearly blinds the sight. Brothers and sisters, water is life. The greater portion of water, that is the basic need for the living beings on earth, is in continuous motion and transformation, referred to as cycling. Water, vapor, rain, water, and so on and so forth. Water is always present in the air. The formation of clouds by water in the state of vapor, the transformation of these clouds into rainwater, and their falling upon the earth as precipitation are the result of God's magnificent cycling system. More than 1400 years ago, the Quran began to draw our attention to the fact that today can be established only by the help of satellites, computers, and balloons. So what does this verse tell us? Clouds move thanks to winds. Then the small clouds combine to form a single large cloud. It piles them on each other. This is what the verse tells us. Let us see what modern science, with the assistance of satellites and computers, tell us. Science tells us that when the small clouds join together, a larger cloud is formed by the stacking up of smaller clouds. فَيَجْعَلُهُ رُكَامًا, stacks up upon each other. This vertical growth causes the cloud body to stretch into cooler regions of the atmosphere where drops of water and hail formulate. When these drops of water and hail become too heavy for the clouds to support them, they begin to fall from the cloud as rain, hail, etc. It is significant to read about the formation of clouds in the Quran. Since today's data are obtained through the use of instruments and satellites that have a panoramic view of clouds from above, it would be impossible otherwise for a man like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, living on the surface of the earth, to have an insight into the updraft in the clouds during their formation and the precipitation emerging from this cloud expanding vertically. In the verse above, the description of mountain masses وَيُنَزِّلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مِنْ جِبَالٍ فِيهَا مِنْ بَرَدٍ. Jibal. Allah describes the clouds as masses of mountains. This description is an accurate one, since the accumulation and build-up of rain clouds at an altitude of 5 to 6 kilometers present a formation like a mountain. When you're flying on board of an aeroplane, you'll see these mountains of clouds. In the verse also, a description is made of the flash of lightning, along with the downfall of rain and hailstones, establishing a link between them. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. هو الذي يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينشئ السحاب الثقال. It is He who shows you the lightning for fear and hope and raises heavy clouds. What happens if the rain falls in abundance or there is no rain at all? Allah tells us that rainfall is in due measure. يقول سبحانه والذي نزل من السماء ماء بقدر فأنشرنا به بلدة ميتا كذلك تخرجون. And He is the one who sends down water in due measure from the sky to revive dead land therewith. Similarly, you will be raised. Rain is one of the gifts of Allah to man. The Qur'an in this verse told us 1400 years ago that the rainfall had a certain measure. Research conducted in the last century revealed the process of rainfall shedding light over the cycling characteristics of water. One of the facts discovered was that the Earth's annual rainfall was always of the same amount. We're talking the entire Earth's annual rainfall was always the same amount. The amount per second varied between 16 to 17 million tons per second. Thus, the amount of rain falling was above 500 trillion tons a year, while an equal amount evaporated. These yearly values remain constant. This constancy was of great significance in establishing the ecological balance of the world. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. Just imagine the beauty of Allah's creation. When we throw an object of a few kilograms from a balcony, we can follow its descent. If we empty a large pan full of water from the balcony, we can observe the splash on the ground. Look to Allah's creation. The fall of tons of water from above, thanks to Allah's programming, is so arranged that water coming down in drops from above is a blessing rather than a natural disaster. We're talking tons and tons of rainfall, but it comes nice, breeze, beautiful precipitation and rainfall. Instead, it would have become a disaster. The calculated balance is due to Allah's creation of rain in due measure. In the same verse, Allah speaks of the rain's regenerative power. وَالَّذِي نَزَّلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً بِقَدَرٍ فأنشرنا به بلدة ميتا كذلك تخرجون. Allah in this verse also speaks of the regenerative power of rain. It is a well-known fact that dry land is revitalized by rain and the vegetation becomes lush once again. This can only happen with plants and bacteria, as the more developed living beings cannot recover their vitality when fresh water is supplied. If a dead corpus of a human or an animal receives fresh water, it does not become alive again. But this is not the case with the seeds of plants or bacteria, which will come back to life once fresh water hits the soil. The last sentence of the verse that reads, "Similarly you will be raised," evokes the following association in our mind. God sends down rain in predetermined amounts, by which plants and bacteria that are near death are resuscitated. The rising of man from the dead is no problem for Allah, who knows the measure of all things. The sprouting of vegetation from the dead soil is something our eyes behold. That we see is the evidence of the facility by which our Creator will recreate His creation, whose measure, calculation, and formula are known only to Him. يقول الله عز وجل مخاطبا عبده محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم: قل إنما أتبع ما يوحى إلي من ربي هذا بصائر من ربكم وهدى ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون. O Muhammad, say, I follow only what my Lord reveals to me. These are enlightenments from your Lord and guidance and mercy for those who believe. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد. Dear brothers and sisters, we talked about the wind, the fecundating wind, their role in the fertilization of plants, the production of plants, and in fertilizing the clouds and turning them into rain clouds. Also sweeping the clouds from above the oceans and seas where they form so that they can rain and deliver the water to the land where humans, animals, and plants thrive. We talked about the delicate and balanced cycle of water, and we will continue along the same theme in the second khutbah. We will talk now about the underground waters and its relation to the water cycle. It's amazing, brothers and sisters, because when we read the Quran, we try to know things related to the afterworld, things related to ibadat, akhlaq, code of ethics, what is right, what is wrong, what is halal, what is haram, what is shirk and what is tawheed. But also in the Quran, there are these beautiful verses that need real thinking and contemplation in order to fully understand them. As we said, the Quran, when it addresses scientific issues, it makes a final, straightforward statement. The Quran comes from the Creator of the world, the one who established all of the rules in this world. يقول سبحانه وتعالى: ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فسلكه ينابيع في الأرض ثم يخرج به زرعا مختلفا ألوانه. Allah talks to us. Do not you see, again, telling us think. Don't take things for granted. Don't read the Quran like you're reading any other book. Think and contemplate. Do not you see that God sends down water from the sky and places it into the underground springs? Subhanallah. Now, knowledge about the world's water cycle has been made clear by contemporary science. If we compare the ancient beliefs about water with the information contained in the Quran, we realize that the Quran's communications are free from errors, as always. The view adopted during the Middle Ages was Aristotle. We know, the very famous philosopher. He had a view. The view says that water springs were fed by underground lakes. In the Renaissance era, Leonardo da Vinci argued against the assertions of Aristotle. Bernard Palissy, in the 16th century, gave a clear account of water's perpetual cycle with special reference to feeding of underground springs by rainwater. Muhammad, in the desert, more than 1400 years ago, provided a clear account of the water cycle, when a prominent figure of philosophy like Aristotle had made errors in the account he gave of water. قُلْ أَنزَلَهُ الَّذِي يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا. The Quran was sent down by him who knows the mystery that is in the heavens and the earth. Verily, he is forgiving, merciful. Allah also challenges us and the disbelievers about the bounties that he has given to us in abundance, and addresses us directly by saying, أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ أَأَنْتُمْ أَنزَلْتُمُوهُ مِنَ الْمُزْنِ أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنزِلُونَ لَوْ نَشَاءُ جَعَلْنَاهُ أُجَاجًا فَلَوْلَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah talks to us and all humans, including the disbelievers and believers. See you the water which you drink. Do you bring it down from the clouds, or do we? If we wish, we can make it salty. You should be thankful. All sorts of details related to the water cycle have been designed by Allah. The physical laws and the chemistry of water reflect the fine calculations behind it. The fact that rainwater contains no salt is again a blessing. We saw that the rain was the consequence of evaporation of water. More than 90% of water that evaporates has in its origin oceans and seas with salt waters. It comes from the oceans, salty waters. The rules that govern the evaporation of water are arranged in order that the water is purified and disposed of its salt content and other impurities. The water of oceans and seas is not potable, while rainwater is, thanks to the evaporation process. In the Quran, reference is made to pure water coming from above. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا. And we send down pure water from the sky. أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. Allah, in another verse, tells us that the water was created after the formation of the earth. أَخْرَجَ مِنْهَا مَاءَهَا وَمَرْعَاهَا. From it, He produced its own water and pasture. At the time of the Quran descent, The first stages of creation of the earth were a mystery. The fact that the emergence of water on the surface of the earth was a phenomenon that took place after the creation of the earth, as mentioned in the Quran, is a miraculous statement. The earth in the beginning was extremely hot. As it gradually cooled down, an outermost solid layer formed. When the surface temperature fell below 100 degrees Celsius, the water in the depths rose to the surface, forming the oceans and seas. This emergence of water is in perfect accord with the account given in the Quran. What happens when the rain falls and hits the soil? يقول الله تعالى: وترى الأرض هامدة فإذا أنزلنا عليها الماء اهتزت وربت وأنبتت من كل زوج بهيج. You see the earth barren and lifeless, but when we pour down water on it, it vibrates, it swells, and puts forth every kind of beautiful growth in pairs. Again, another miraculous verse. Very beautiful. It is general knowledge that there is no life without air and water. Soil also is a prerequisite to life. This verse refers to reactions that occur in series after the rainfall. The vibrating and swelling of soil were at first believed to be literally expressions. Robert Brown, in the 18th century, discovered this phenomenon, that the earth would vibrate and shake, the soil itself, it would vibrate and shake upon the rainfall. And he called it the Brownian movement. This is another proof of the Quran's miraculous insight. So what are the three stages that were mentioned in the Quran? The earth vibrates, the earth swells, and then it will produce in pairs. In the first stage, particles in the soil begin vibrating upon the fall of rainwater. The second point refers to the growth in size of the earth's particle as they absorb water. The third stage refers to the germination of seeds. As the verse points out, the fertilization process has started. The soil that seems dead comes to life with water, giving in turn life to vegetation that begins to sprout. وأنزلنا من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به أزواجا من نبات شتى. And has sent down water from the sky. With it have we produced diverse pairs of plants. During the time of the prophets, biology was not a developed science, and the system of reproduction of plants was not known. Differentiation of sex in plants was to be a later discovery. The concept of production of diverse pairs of plants, as stated in the Quran 1400 years ago, is another miracle. We will conclude with this. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي أفلا يؤمنون. And from water we made all living things. Will they not believe even then? Another verse: والله خلق كل دابة من ماء. God created every moving creature from water. Water is the basic biological element of living matter. Cells are made of water in proportions varying between 60 to 80%. A cell whose basic element is water is a living thing. Without water, there is no life. سبحانك ربي. يقول الله عز وجل مخبرا عن نفسه: هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. He is God, the creator, the maker, the designer. To him belong the most beautiful names. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth glorifies Him. He is the Almighty, the Wise. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تفعلون وأقم الصلاة.